Friends, welcome to my video. This video is the same Malayalam video I had done last week. The translation is not exactly verbatim, but the content is the same. ഇത് കഴിഞ്ഞ ആഴ്ച മലയാളത്തിൽ ഞാൻ ചെയ്ത അതേ വീഡിയോ ആണ് ഇംഗ്ലീഷിൽ ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്നത് മാത്രം. Now the reason why I have done this in English is an youngster told me that she understood almost everything that came out in Malayalam, but it would be difficult for our younger generation who are abroad in the US and Canada to understand this. So I decided to do it in English so that all youngsters who and whose next generation is going to be affected by endogamy, which is being practiced by the Canaanites right now. The title of this video is a bit scary, I admit, but there are solutions which we will discuss. Now I invite you to the ad of a genetic lab headquartered at Miami, Florida. The Victor Center, Genetic Testing and Counseling. The Victor Center for the Prevention of Jewish Genetic Diseases enables families to get the genetic testing and counseling they need to understand their genetic risks. Now, let us hear the story from the person who established this lab. Her name is Lois Victor. Lois Victor's story. Let us hear it in her own words. Let me tell you why this is so important to me. My daughter Debbie was sick from the day she was born and probably never had a good day in her 8 years of life. Linda, more functional, experienced problems every single day and at age 35 was hospitalized for the last time. What does a mother say when her child asks, "Mom, am I going to die?" Lois lost both daughters to familial dysautonomia. Now we will listen to what a research paper on familial dysautonomia has to say. From 1791 to 1917, Jews living in the Russian Empire were forced to live inside the prescribed Pale of Settlement, a region spanning present-day Ukraine, Poland, Slovakia, Hungary, Republic of Moldova, and Romania. This oppression created generations of endogamy. This oppression created generations of endogamy within the region and a genetic bottleneck that enriched a deleterious allele of the ELP1 gene, such that today between 1 in 18 to 1 in 27 Ashkenazi Jews carry the original ELP1 founder mutation. The allele is highly penetrant and results in impaired splicing of ELP1, leading to a devastating neurologic disease first described in 1949 and now called familial dysautonomia. We Kerala Canaanites say that we choose endogamy. But in the case of these Jews, Ashkenazi Jews they are called, of Eastern Europe, it was not a matter of choice. Jews never practiced endogamy. Here, they were forced to practice endogamy because kingdoms there were ruled by Christian kings. And the Christian kings, they said, they hated Jews. They said, you are only allowed to live in the slums and you are only allowed to marry amongst yourself. You are not allowed to marry others. So these people were forced to accept endogamy. And the practice of this endogamy made genetic diseases prevalent amongst them. The genetic diseases started coming out. When you are in a closed society, it happens. It is called the founder effect. Now, let us see what Times of Israel has to say about these Ashkenazi Jews. A new study concludes that all Ashkenazi Jews can trace their ancestry to a bottleneck of just 350 individuals dating back to between 600 and 800 years ago. The study, published in the Nature Communications Journal Tuesday, was authored by Shai Kami, a computer science professor at Columbia University, and more than 20 medical researchers from Yale, Columbia, Yeshiva University's Albert Einstein College of Medicine, Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, Hebrew University of Jerusalem, and other institutions. You know the reputation of these institutions. They conducted a study and came to the conclusion that the reason for the genetic diseases among the Ashkenazi Jews was a bottleneck of 350 individuals. From them originated the genetic diseases. They were a group not marrying from outside. They practiced endogamy, these 350 people, and slowly it increased. The population increased, but the genetic diseases, it increased along with the population. There is genetic deformity, genetic mutation. When two persons, a male and a female, get married having the same genetic mutation, there is the possibility of the children getting it. And many diseases, many genetic diseases, it came and established itself amongst these Ashkenazi Jews. The reason is this 350 individuals being in a group. Canaanites of Kerala, same situation, 350 or 400, that's the maximum. But these Ashkenazi Jews, it's a question of only 800 years. But for us, it's almost 1,600 years have passed. So our case must be worse. It is worse because so many children among the Knanaya people in Kerala, USA, Canada, everywhere, children are born with deformities, mental deformities, physical deformities, nerve problems. There are many kids who die young, like the case of Lois Victor's children. They die very young. Some live with disease throughout their life. Some have mental problems. So we must get rid of this. Is there any way out? The Ashkenazi Jews found a way. And what is that? They married out. They married out. Now, you take the case of Ashkenazi, not only Ashkenazi Jews, forget it. Take the case of all Jews in the United States. More than 70%, 72%, the statistics says, marry outside their community. This is the best solution. We will also examine another study done by Dr. Kumarasamy Tangaraj of Center for Cellular and Molecular Biology at Hyderabad, and also by Dr. David Reich of the Harvard Medical School, Boston. Dr. Reich said that they found that 81 out of 263 unique South Asian groups, including 14 groups with estimated census sizes of over 1 million, have a strong founder event than the one that occurred in both Finns and Ashkenazi Jews in the West. These are founder groups known to have large numbers of recessive diseases. He further said that this source of risk for recessive diseases is very different from that due to marriages among close relatives, consanguineous marriages. We must note that in this study, Dr. Reich has excluded consanguineous marriages, that is, marriages between cousins. Also, see, we are not discussing about the Finns, though in this study, Finns and Ashkenazi Jews are mentioned, because Finns, they marry their cousins also. But Ashkenazi Jews, their behavior is very similar to Canaanites in Kerala. So we concentrate on the Ashkenazi Jews. Here, what Dr. Reich says is that throughout India, he finds numerous communities who practice endogamy. It is a practice of India. In the Hindu community, there are small communities and even large communities, it says even up to 1 million mark. Communities are there. They are very strict in practicing this endogamy. So, most probably we Canaanites started this practice when we landed in India, because the others were practicing. Automatically you are forced to practice, because you can't marry them, because they are already practicing endogamy. So probably that is how we started practicing endogamy. And the peculiarity of the Indian communities that practice endogamy is that in the case of many, the condition is more severe than that of the Ashkenazi Jews. The chances of getting these genetic diseases for most of the 81, the case of 81, specifically the number is mentioned. In the case of 81 communities, the chances of getting genetic diseases is more than that of the Ashkenazi Jews. Now, what are the chances of an Ashkenazi Jews getting a genetic disease? They say 1 out of every 2 Ashkenazi Jew has got a mutated gene. If 2 persons having the same mutated gene get married, there is a chance of their children getting the genetic disease. That chance is, if they have got 4 children, 1 will get the disease, 2 will become carriers, and 1 will be free. 1 will not get the disease. It keeps on repeating. The rhythm keeps on repeating. So in the future, at some point, your children are going to get disease, genetic disease. So for this, we must have genetic screening, and only those persons who are not having the same genetic mutation must get married. So for this, we need genetic screening. It must be done in competent labs. So we need a competent lab for this purpose. That is the urgent need of our community. See, this having this mutant gene in your body is just like a poisonous serpent kept in a cage, having keys. 2 keys are there. 1 key is with you and 1 key is somewhere outside there. You go and get married to that same person, the poisonous serpent is freed. It will affect your child. It will It will be in the child's body, creating pain, difficulties for months, for years, and the child will die maybe at the age of 8, maybe later. But the suffering the parent has to undergo, the suffering the child has to undergo is terrible. Also, one more thing, the chances of an Ashkenazi Jewish young woman getting breast cancer and ovarian cancer is also very high. Let me read this excerpt. Everyone has BRCA1 and BRCA2 genes. Some people have changes called mutations in these genes. 1 in 40 Ashkenazi Jewish women has a BRCA gene mutation. Mutations in BRCA gene raise a person's risk for getting breast cancer at a young age and also for getting ovarian and other cancers. This is why Ashkenazi Jewish women are at a higher risk for breast cancer at a young age. Many Knanaya young women in Kerala and outside are victims of breast cancer and ovarian cancer. Is it due to genetic mutation? Is it a genetic disease? Is it because of our endogamy? We do not know. We simply do not know. There is no study done. There is no statistics available. So, what we urgently need is a genetic lab, at least a genetic lab, even if no study is done, where we can do screening and find out whether the potential bride and bridegroom are having the same type of genetic mutation. Now, let me introduce you to another genetic lab in the United States. The name is Dor Eshorim. Their motto is preventing tears. See, it is given in the center, preventing tears. It was started by a Jewish rabbi, Joseph Eckstein, in 1983 in Brooklyn, New York. And I will read out from their pamphlet. Confidential premarital screening program. Pioneering genetic compatibility. Over 25,000 young adults of marriageable age worldwide are tested annually through Dor Eshorim school screenings, utilizing a unique system that ensures confidentiality and therefore complete comfort and acceptance across the Jewish spectrum. Dor Eshorim has pioneered the field of genetic compatibility, saving thousands of families untold potential heartache. 8,308 families have been spared from having children born with a genetic disease. Let us hope that the Knanaya community, either the Jacobite faction or the Catholic faction or both combined together, bring in and set up such a genetic lab in the very near future. Thank you very much.